All right, now that you have some webinars set up, you want to be able to navigate your dashboard. This is where you're going to find all of your links and all of your options for actually running and managing your current webinars. So let's take a look at these two buttons down here, Run a Test and Your Links. These are going to look very similar when we click on them, but the most primary one you want to be concerned with is Run a Test. You want to use this button often and use it well. This button is going to be your friend. Basically, what this button does is it generates a unique copy of your webinar in a separate room, so that way you can test your webinar without it affecting your actual webinar. So you can use these links, you can test them with friends, and you don't have to worry about your real webinar being affected by your test. This is super important, and I highly recommend at least using this once before you go live. That way you know, oops, I missed something. You can check for this stuff beforehand. So let's go ahead and look through these links. There's a few things here to take a look at. If you added auto subscribe to your previous webinars, one of your previous webinars, then this option will appear. If you didn't, then you won't see this option. As you can see, it says one person has opted in for auto subscription to my upcoming webinars. So I can actually use this drop-down menu to choose let's say every Friday at 4 p.m. I can subscribe this person to that session. I can subscribe them to this upcoming webinar automatically, quote unquote. On my end, I click the button. On their end, it looks like they've just been registered automatically for that webinar. And you'll notice that now that they've been registered, that option is gone from the menu. And so this is the default that you'll be seeing in most webinar link areas. So we're going to look at link to the registration page. This is the link that you want to send to your attendees. If someone is registering for your webinar, now this is not relevant to the always on webinars. You're not going to want to use this for always on webinars, but we'll get to that in a moment. If you click this button right here, you'll go to the registration page. You'll see this is the registration page we edited earlier in the last tutorial, and the registration button is right here. But we're going to go back over here. You've got embed in your website. So we've got two options here. Now you remember earlier when we were customizing that registration page, you had the option for using your own website and your own design. That's what this tab is for here. So you can choose a registration bar to embed in your own web page or a registration button. And down below, you can customize how these things look, whether it's the size or the border shape, whether there's a shadow. We can go with color changes. We can go with different shapes here. We can change the text if we want. Register. And once you click apply, you'll notice that this text at the bottom, this code, has changed. This code is what you're going to copy and paste into the HTML of your web page. So you'll want to copy all of this. Make sure the whole thing is copied, not just the top. If you triple click right here, you'll notice it doesn't select the whole thing, right? So you want to make sure all of this code is selected, and you copy that and paste it into your web page where you want it to be. All right, next tab, direct link to the live room. Consider this to be an emergency link. This is not something you want to use all of the time. Some instances in which you may want to use this. First, you might want to use this for the always on webinar. The always on webinar, you just want people to just be able to jump into the room and you're not worried about analytics. This is the link for you. Now I say not worried about analytics because this link does not always register or track everything that happens in the room. It's sort of backdoor access, as it says right here. It's backdoor access to your live room. This link is not intended for full webinar features, including analytics and tracking and knowing what's happening with your registrants and your attendees. So if you want to make sure to track that stuff, you want to make sure to use the registration page. You want them to actually register and use the link that they get customized and sent to them via email. So this link, you could use it as an emergency. So let's say something's gone wrong with your emails. If you've integrated your own email server or something like that and it didn't get sent out, you can send this link manually to everybody and they can just direct link into the live room. Let's go over to the presenters tab. So the presenters links are all here. Now, if you remember from the last video, I had myself set up as a presenter and I had Tammy set up as a moderator. You'll see that there are 2 links for me and only 1 link for Tammy. The live room link is the link that I will use to actually go live. This is the link that I want to use for going to the live room. However, there's the second one that both of us have called Control Panel. The control panel is the room in which you can moderate everything. It's you can change the chat, you can manage slideshows, you can manage file sharing, all from inside the control panel. Now, if you have a moderator, such as Tammy, I would recommend that the moderator also open up the live room. So maybe opening the direct link. Another use for that direct link to the live room would be the moderator opening that live room link and monitoring what's going on there while moderating what's happening in the chat from the control panel. Now you'll notice also this button right here, send link by email. You can actually send this link directly to the email address of that user. So whoever is, if you're not the presenter, if you've set someone else up as a presenter, you can just click this button and it'll send the link straight to them. Let's move on to the replay tab. The replay tab will appear later. Let's actually take a look at one of these down here that I think will actually have a replay link available. We'll do one of these right here. We'll open up your links here, click on replay. All right, there we go, replay. So you'll see this replay tab has a drop-down menu, and this is when this session happened. I've got a Right Now webinar that appeared here. And you'll see 2 or 3 things here. One, you've got a link. This is the replay page. Just like any webinar page, if you open it up using this button, of course, you'll have a login page. Unless, of course, you set it up to expire, which I believe, yeah, this one was set up to expire. So if you log into the webinar, you'll see the webinar replay, just like I explained in the last tutorial video. However, you also have the option to download the MP4 file directly. If you click this button, you'll be able to download the file. It will include not just your video, but any slides that you presented or any video injections that you added. It won't include the chat, but it will include everything you showed on screen. Let's move on to the chat log. The chat log can be downloaded from your webinars. It will download as a CSV file. So let's take a look at that real quick. You can open this up. Now, I didn't have any chat in this particular webinar, but you'll see that everything is organized, comma-separated values by hour, minute, and second that the message came in, the name of the person who wrote the message, their role. Now, this would mean either moderator, presenter, or attendee. And then message, so their actual message. And then mode. This would mean whether it is a chat message, a question, or an answer. So let's go back over here and take a look at survey results. If you have a survey, then you'll find the results here. In fact, I added a survey to this one up here. So let's take a look. So we'll click on survey results, and you'll see that there is 1 survey completed. So I'll click on download. It's going to generate the file based on the responses that I received. And download right here. Let's open this up just like that. There we go. And it opens up for me. I'm opening this up in Google Sheets instead of Office, but you can open this up. It is an Excel sheet, and you'll see that I've got my answers for question 1, question 2, question 3, and question 4. The first one was a single answer question that I had set up, and they answered yes to 1, but no to the other 2. In question 2, it's a multiple answer question, and so they answered yes to 2 of these. So you've got options available to you. The final thing that you might want to utilize inside the Your Links area is this option right here, brand this link. This option allows you to create custom URLs right there for anyone to use, so that way you know if someone goes to this URL right here, they will get to your webinar registration page. Let's take a look at some of these other options. We have the edit option, which pops up the same window as add webinar, but this time it's editing an existing webinar. We have the clone option, so if your webinar has ended but you want to create a new webinar with the exact same settings, you can click on clone and you'll be able to change whatever details you'd like for example, changing the scheduling to be a later date. Finally, there's delete, which will delete the webinar. You do not want to click this unless you are done with the webinar completely and never want to see it again. And finally, advanced. Let's take a look at the advanced options here. In my webinar, I had set up an offer that will display when people purchase my product. Not just that, but it also ticks down how many available units there are. In order to do that successfully, I need to embed this tracking code into the thank you page of my product. So once someone purchases and they land on my thank you page, this thank you page tracking code will actually tell WebinarJam that they have purchased successfully. So this is a very important piece of code. You have to embed this into the thank you page in order for that tracking to work. Let's take a look at the one-click registration option. This is definitely, like the others, an advanced option. If you have a client management system or an email autoresponder, it's likely that that email autoresponder will have something like short codes, the same thing that we used in the notifications area that automatically fills in their name. You can use those short codes as a part of this URL to make it so that they just have to click a link and they'll be registered for your webinar. Now, this is a more complex and advanced feature, so you're going to want to make sure to click this link and read the instructions fully in order to understand how to use it. We're not going to go through that today, but you know the instructions are here if you want to use it. And then finally, API custom integration. This is the most advanced feature that we have. This is for people who are looking to get into the code and get into some really custom app type things. If you do have someone that is really well versed in API coding, then feel free to send them this URL here, this API documentation, and they'll be able to learn everything that WebinarJam API can do. There is a lot of options available. And with that, we've gone through all of the links and options available inside the dashboard area. If you have any other concerns, feel free to reach out to support by clicking this button and connect to our Facebook community. There's a lot of members there who are looking to chat about webinar building and how to make your webinars more successful.